The first week is already over, and that means it's time for a little bit of power rankings.
You could just feel the energy in the stadium just completely dissipate. And I'll say this, the Jets, they may have won the battle by beating the Bills, but they lost the war.
We have 17 weeks of this left until the playoffs commence. Let's dive into how all 32 teams stack up against each other heading into week 2. Number 32, Arizona Cardinals. Last time's ranking, 32. Credit to the Cardinals for playing their tails off under Jonathan Gannon in his NFL coaching debut. But as expected, the limited offense was easily overmatched by the Washington Commanders' suffocating defense on Sunday. Tougher QB opponents await the Redbirds, but they showed some fight in week 1 of what figures to be a very long season. Number 31, Indianapolis Colts. Last time's ranking, 31. Anthony Richardson flashed his dual threat abilities and led Indy with 40 rushing yards, but he also threw an interception and was sacked 4 times. When all was said and done, the Colts fell 31-21 to the heavily favored Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a year of growing pains in Indianapolis, but hey, at least Richardson gives this fan base something that's fun to watch. Number 30, Houston Texans. Last time's ranking, 30. CJ Stroud just had no chance whatsoever against that stingy Baltimore defense. The Texans' banged-up O-line was helpless, and Stroud had nobody but Nico Collins to feed the ball to in the passing game. DeMeco Ryans ought to be happy with how his defense mostly contained Lamar Jackson. Number 29, Chicago Bears. Last time's ranking, 27. New QB in Green Bay, same result. Chicago doesn't have to deal with Aaron Rodgers anymore, but it appears as though Jordan Love is the new unofficial owner of the Bears. The Bears were outclassed in every aspect by their arch rivals, allowing 38 points to a team with the QB making his second NFL start. Number 28, Carolina Panthers. Last time's ranking, 25. Bryce Young's NFL debut is nothing short of a flop. 20 of 38 for 146 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Young looked completely confused and lost against an Atlanta secondary that has been one of football's worst for more than a decade now. Number 27, Denver Broncos. Last time's ranking, 22. Russell Wilson certainly looked more efficient and confident in Sean Payton's offense, but there's never time for moral losses in football. The Broncos gave this game away to the Raiders despite committing 0 turnovers and despite allowing just 261 total yards. And I think this was supposed to be one of the easier games on the Broncos' 2023 schedule. Number 26, New York Giants. Last time's ranking, 14. What in the world was that? 40-0 shutout loss at home? Okay then. Luckily, they get the Cardinals on the road in week 2. Look, it literally cannot get any worse than it was on Sunday. Number 25, Washington Commanders. Last time's ranking, 26. Sam Howell had an uneven performance in week 1, but it was the Commanders' D that did the heavy lifting in the club's 20-16 win over Arizona. FedEx Field was a sellout, and Washington fans really brought a playoff-like atmosphere for that game. The Josh Harris ownership era is certainly off to a promising start. Number 24, Las Vegas Raiders. Last time's ranking, 28. Jimmy Garoppolo was good enough to help the Raiders win a defensive slugfest in Denver. He had excellent chemistry with Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams, who combined for 15 receptions and 147 yards, with Myers hauling in 2 TDs as well. Considering that reigning rushing champion Josh Jacobs had just 48 yards on 19 carries, the Raiders ought to be happy with that win. Number 23, Tennessee Titans. Last time's ranking, 20. Ryan Tannehill's awful day wasted strong efforts by the Titans defense and running back Derrick Henry, who finished with 119 yards from scrimmage. Tannehill was 16 of 34 for 198 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. If Tannehill doesn't improve and quickly, Mike Vrabel has to give rookie Will Levis a shot, no? Number 22, New England Patriots. Last time's ranking, 19. The Patriots kept it close against a far superior Eagles team, but Bill Belichick is the first guy who will tell you that moral losses aren't the thing at this level. Coulda, shoulda, woulda has been a common theme for the Patriots in the post-Tom Brady era. The sky will really start to fall in Foxborough if the Pats can't take down their longtime kryptonite, the Miami Dolphins, on Sunday. Number 21, Minnesota Vikings. Last time's ranking, 20. Typical Vikings. There's just always a way to disappoint, isn't there? A D that couldn't stop a nosebleed last year actually played well under new DC Brian Flores, allowing just 242 total yards and 3.6 yards per play. But of course, the Vikings lost at home to Baker Mayfield's Tampa Bay Buccaneers thanks to 3 costly turnovers that wasted Kirk Cousins' 334 passing yards and Justin Jefferson's 150 receiving yards. And it gets even harder with a road game against the Eagles on a short week. Number 20, Pittsburgh Steelers. Last time's ranking, 13. We don't want to jump into annual Week 1 overreactions, but that was a very uninspiring effort by a usually well-coached Steelers team on Sunday. A 0-2 start in this loaded AFC will immediately put their playoff hopes on ice. Number 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last time's ranking, 29. The Bucs kept a high-powered Vikings offense in check for most of the contest, and Baker Mayfield played mistake-free football in a 2017 Tampa Bay victory.
He's going to run it himself, trying to stick on Murphy, and gets a couple of extra yards.
Wait up, little boy!
If Baker can excel in a game manager role, and if the defense plays like it did on Sunday, the Bucs will definitely contend for the NFC South Division crown. Number 18, Atlanta Falcons. Last time's ranking, 24. The Falcons won the old school way, with a smash-em-in-the-mouth defense and a prolific rushing game that racked up 130 yards and 2 touchdowns on just 26 carries. Considering how quiet Atlanta's passing game was, they have to be especially encouraged with a 24-10 win over a division rival in the Panthers. Number 17, Seattle Seahawks. Last time's ranking, 8. The Seahawks were supposed to crush a Rams team that was missing Cooper Kupp, but Pete Carroll and company apparently forgot that memo. The Seahawks aren't strangers to slow starters, so we're going to put extra emphasis on the time to turn the page phrase here. You just know that their defense and star-studded offense will get better. Number 16, New Orleans Saints. Last time's ranking, 17. It wasn't pretty, but Derek Carr's 305-yard day and TD strike to Rashid Shaheed was more than enough for New Orleans to grind out a tight 16-15 win over Tennessee. You just know that Carr will get better in this offense, especially when Alvin Kamara returns. Number 15, New York Jets. Last time's ranking, 11. After a win like that, we'd like to put the Jets higher, but that's tough to do knowing that they'll have to rely on Zach Wilson the rest of the way. The good news is their defense is good enough to win them some games, and they still have a ton of playmakers on offense. If they can pull off the win in Dallas, we'll start showing this version of the Jets a lot more respect. Number 14, Green Bay Packers. Last time's ranking, 21. Aaron Rodgers, who? Coach of the Week honors should go to Matt LaFleur because his Packers came to play on Sunday all right. Jordan Love had 245 passing yards and 3 touchdowns without an interception. And I think Christian Watson hasn't even suited up yet. Number 13, Buffalo Bills. Last time's ranking, 5. That was an ugly loss for the Bills, especially after Aaron Rodgers went out. The good news is that this is just week 1. This team is way too talented. They have a chance to bounce back with games against the Raiders and Commanders over the next 2 weeks. But if they lose those, then yeah, it's time to hit the panic button. Number 12, Los Angeles Chargers. Last time's ranking, 12. Look, you just knew that the Bolts would somehow blow it. The defense allowed 466 yards passing to Tua Tagovailoa and failed to record a single sack. Yeah, looks like Herbert's gonna have to be Superman again for the Bolts to win games. Number 11, Los Angeles Rams. Last time's ranking, 23. The Rams have won a lot of big games under Sean McVay, but the Week 1 shellacking in Seattle will go right up there as one of the greatest statement victories. Matt Stafford lit it up with Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua, who both finished with 119 yards. If that's a preview of what's to come in La La Land, well, just you wait until Cooper Kupp returns. Number 10, Cincinnati Bengals. Last time's ranking, 4. Try not to worry too much, Bengals fans. Dare we remind you that these Bengals started 0-2 last year, only to finish 12-4 en route to an AFC title game appearance? Not gonna worry quite yet. The Browns have been giving Burrow issues since his rookie year, and the soaking conditions in Cleveland did not help matters. Don't hit the panic button quite yet. It's all gonna be okay. Number 9, Cleveland Browns. Last time's ranking, 18. Deshaun Watson had another lackluster outing as the Browns QB, but hey, it didn't matter whatsoever. The Nick Chubb-led ground game had 206 yards, and the rebuilt Cleveland D held Joe Burrow and company to just 3 points. Jim Schwartz's debut as Cleveland's DC couldn't have gone any better. Number 8, Detroit Lions. Last time's ranking, 15. Sorry, Mike Tirico, but Thursday's win in Kansas City carries no asterisk here. Yes, KC was missing Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, but it's not like KC was without Patrick Mahomes or its 5 starters on the O-line. Dan Campbell's Lions played near-perfect situational football, grinding out a 21-20 win thanks to a suffocating D and a prolific ground game. And with that, the Lions are 1-0 for the first time since 2017. Number 7, Miami Dolphins. Last time's ranking, 10. Tua outdueled Justin Herbert, his 2020 NFL Draft QB counterpart, 36-34, and an early candidate for Game of the Year. Is it too early to suggest that Tyreek might actually hit 2K receiving? Number 6, Jacksonville Jaguars. Last time's ranking, 9. Yeah, this is unfair. The Jaguars' high-powered offense added Calvin Ridley last year in a trade with Atlanta. Then, in his Jacksonville debut, Ridley racks up 8 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. Wasn't it unfair enough that Trevor Lawrence had Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and Travis Etienne Jr.? Number 5, Baltimore Ravens. Last time's ranking, 7. Though Baltimore won by 2 scores, we can't think that they'll be super happy with the offensive performance. Lamar Jackson Company really played down to a highly inferior Houston Texans squad. The offense must be better with a showdown in Cincinnati next on the table. Number 4, Kansas City Chiefs. Last time's ranking, 1. No overreactions allowed, Chiefs fans. It was week 1. They were missing 2 of their 3 superstars. They only lost by 1 point to a quality Detroit team. It happens. Win or lose in Jacksonville this week, the Chiefs will be just fine one way or another. Number 3, Dallas Cowboys. Last time's ranking, 6. Wow, is that defense going to be a problem this year? Dak Prescott only had 13 completions for 143 yards and no passing TDs. And his Cowboys won 40-0 in New York? Wowza. Dan Quinn's defense just never gave the Giants a chance. Number 2, Philadelphia Eagles. Last time's ranking, 2. Championship teams find ways to frequently win games they probably deserve to lose. Case in point, the Eagles in Foxborough on Sunday. That is as bad of a game as you'll ever see from Jalen Hurts. Yet the Eagles maintained control all game long and squeaked out a 25-20 win in New England. It's sure nice having a ferocious pass rush, hello Jalen Carter, to take over and win games when your offense is starting to struggle. Number 1, San Francisco 49ers. Last time's ranking, 3. The 49ers had the most complete team performance from start to finish in week 1. Brock Purdy had 2 passing touchdowns without an interception. Christian McCaffrey had 152 rushing yards and a TD. Brandon Ayuk caught 2 touchdowns, and the 49ers D-sacked Kenny Pickett 5 times in a 30-7 win. Yeah, we'd say that a statement was made. But who do you think should be number 1 in the NFL power rankings? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.